Mega Latias and Mega Latios are coming to Pokemon Go starting May 3rd through May 10th. They will be the first ever legendary Mega Pokemon. To add to that, they're also debuting with their signature attacks, Luster Purge and Mist Ball, which is pretty exciting because these benefits not only extend to these raid Pokemon, but they can also have implications for Latias and Latios in PvP. So let's talk about how good they are in raids and PvP. And they're actually pretty good in raids. You know, after all these years, SwagTips channel, can finally talk about raid content because we got something that's kind of interesting for raids, right? Also, quick quiz. Don't check the comments. Is this Mega Latios or Mega Latias? Both Mega Latios and Latias are this purple color, so how can you tell? So starting out with Luster Purge and Latios, because let's face it, Latios is probably going to be the better raid attacker, right? Luster Purge is actually a better move than Psychic. It has 100 base power for a 100 energy cost and a 1.5 second animation time. So to appraise a charge move objectively for raids, we like to use DPS times DPE, damage divided by time, multiplied by damage divided by the energy cost. And Luster Purge has a 6.67 DPE compared to Psychic's 57.85 DPE. What is a little bit shocking though is when you check it out in the DPS TDO calculator, the spreadsheet on GamePress, linked in the description of course, you'll see that Luster Purge is actually underperforming compared to Psychic on both, Latios and Mega Latios. So what's going on here? Well, when it comes to moves in practice and when it comes to that happy, Goldilocks formula, it doesn't consider the fact that single bar charge moves, 100 energy cost charge moves, have poor energy utilization. If you're not familiar with the topic, just think about the times when you're raiding. You're charging up to like a solar beam or something, right? And you're at like 80 energy, but then you get KO'd. That means all that energy isn't converted into damage, and more often than not that means that a lower energy cost charge move, a 50 bar or a 33 energy cost charge move, they could whip out that damage almost immediately. They wouldn't be getting KO'd with 80 energy built up and doing nothing with it. Also to add is that you get energy from taking damage in raids. So if you charge up to like 90 energy, you're almost at your big solar beam or something, and you get hit with a big attack, that attack could be converted into, let's say, like 40 energy, but you cap at 100. So instead of going to like 120 or whatever, you only go to 100. So all that extra energy also doesn't get converted into damage, where if you're using a multi-bar charge move, you'd just be whipping out charge moves left and right, back and forth. You wouldn't worry about going over 100 energy because that's not a possibility for you. And even outside of these scenarios, like when you charge up to 100 naturally, even outside of taking damage, you could go a little bit over that 100 too, just from the energy gains you get from your fast move. So overall, single bar charge moves, 100 energy cost charge moves, conceptually, they're always going to be a bit more than 100 energy because of these circumstances. And as a result, more often than not, they will underperform compared to multi-bar charge moves. So for Luster Purge to kind of fix this, you could use both Luster Purge and Psychic. That's a combo, a little strategy I've had for, I guess, years now. If I remember what video where I first talk about it, I'll link up above in the description to it. But the basic idea is that if the single bar charge move has more value than the multi-bar charge move, then you could throw that single bar charge move up until the point where you feel like, you might get KO'd, and then you just use the multi-bar charge move to kind of make up for that. That kind of solves like half of the energy issue when it comes to single bar charge moves, that kind of combo situation, and that could be good. But I feel like, I don't know, Luster Purge is like, value is like close enough to Psychics where I think that more often than not it probably would just be better to just use Psychic. To that end, I think it would be good for Pokemon Go to buff Luster Purge to 120 base power, maybe even more than that. When it comes to the value of that move then at 120 base power, it actually syncs up pretty well with other signature attacks in the game, and Latios and Mega Latios, spoiler alert, aren't going to be like the top of their class when it comes to being Psychic type attackers. A large part of this is the fact that they have Zen Headbutt for their fast move, right? But let's just focus on the charge move here. Having 120 base power wouldn't make Luster Purge insane. It wouldn't make Latios crazy OP. It wouldn't even be like a favoritism move because there are signature attacks that would still be higher value than it. But I think that that would do a lot to kind of make up for that issue and make Luster Purge like an objectively superior type attack. So that's what I gotta say about Luster Purge. When it comes to Mist Ball, ah, gosh, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so Mist Ball has 105 base power, which is cool. Like, that's 5 more than 100. But it has zero point 0.5 more seconds of animation time. And the animation time is going to be like the big, value item here. Basically, 105, for a 2-second animation time with 100 energy cost, that makes it lower value than Psychic. Like on paper, even before considering the whole energy oscillation situation, uh, Psychic's just straight up better than Mist Ball. So if anything's gonna get buffed, like Latios and Mega Latios, they're not gonna be like household name raid attackers like anyways. They're always gonna live in the shadow of Latios and Mega Latios. But like, why kick her when she's down? Like, why not give Latios like a good attack, make her like less bad? Why? Like, who at Niantic HQ like hates Latias? What did Latias do to you to make you want to like hurt her so much? I don't get it. Latias, she's still not like bad, I guess, as a raid attacker, and as we'll find, Mega Latias isn't that terrible either. But like, you're gonna want to use Psychic. Like, Mist Ball's just not good. So it's very strange to me. At any rate, how do these raid attackers, the Eon Duo, these Dragon Psychic Pokemon, how do they compare to other raid attackers? When it comes to the Psychic side of the Force, Mega Latios and Mega Latias, they're the two best Psychic type mega raid attackers that we have currently in the game. And when it comes to like the overall value, this sheet is sorted by the DPS to the third power times TDO, and then also without considering the mega bonuses here. Mega Latios probably will be our best psychic type raid attacker here for megas up until we get Mega Alakazam, or of course the Mega Mewtwo's. And even when Mega Alakazam does come out, you will notice that Mega Latios does have a higher total damage output, which means that it has a greater Mega uptime, so you're able to give the bonus to your allies for a longer time. And then depending on how like the raid kind of shakes out, Mega Latios could presumably reach more charge moves than Mega Alakazam could, depending on circumstances. So I think Mega Latios, despite being hurt by having Zen Headbutt, despite being hurt by its signature attack being worse than Psychic, I think it'll have the seat at at the table for some years to come here. Then Mega Latias also isn't too bad either, and Mega Latias does have higher total damage output than Mega Latios, so tankier, Mega uptime. But I don't think that the advantage is like so much higher that like it doesn't make sense to just use Latios instead. But when it comes to the free Mega Evolution, I guess, it is a 3-day cooldown. So if you got a Mega Latias and you got a Mega Latios, and your Mega Latios is on cooldown, and you're not that concerned about how quickly you beat the raid boss or whatever, then Mega Latias is a perfectly suitable substitution. Now, of course, in the future we are going to get Mega Gallade and Mega Gardevoir as well, and you can see here that their DPS does outpace Mega Latios. And when it comes to like the TDO, the Mega Uptime situation, the value of that arguably goes down when people bring more Megas and their Megas are kind of spaced out throughout the fight. So, Mega Latios looks cool now. I think Mega Latios does have some longevity here, but obviously Mega Gallade and Mega Gardevoir have some pretty high value too, and will offer some good competition to Mega Latios. So I guess the TLDR is, like, Mega Latios is good. It won't always be the best, but it's not a bad option. But if you're not too into it and you don't want to power it up, there's other options that are coming in the future as well. And if you guys are curious, if they were to buff Mega Latios with Confusion and they were to make, Luster Purge be 120 base power, I believe the DPS would increase to about like 21, maybe closer to 22, which could make it more high value than Mega Alakazam in terms of DPS to the third power times TDO, which is interesting to think about too. But I don't think they're going to be doing that. I don't know. We'll have to see how it shakes out. But I guess what I'm trying to get across here is that those would be some pretty big gains for Mega Latios, but I don't think it would completely flip the script on this situation. And of course, not in comparison to like the Mega Mewtwo's, like obviously. We're not even going to worry about that. Then when it comes to the Dragon side of the Force, yeah, Mega Latios and Mega Latios, once again, are arguably the two best Dragon type Mega Pokemon currently in the game right now. But obviously they're going to suffer some, heavy competition from Mega Salamence and Mega Garchomp in the future, not to mention Mega freaking Rayquaza in the future. So as with, Psychic type Pokemon, they're really good right now, but in the future they will get replaced by Pokemon that are presumably like lower investment to use compared to powering up and using a legendary Pokemon. Mega Salamence, Mega Garchomp, they got the better attacks, they got the Dragon Tails, they got the outrages. Mega Latios is just chumping it up with Dragon Breath and Dragon Claw. Mega Latias does have the outrage, so Mega Latias is sort of able to meet Latios's performance a little bit better than usual here, and arguably could be better in terms of TDO and Mega uptime compared to being a Psychic type Pokemon, where they're using basically the same exact attacks. So that's also something to consider as well. Of course, it is worth mentioning too that if you are considering Mega uptime, Mega Altaria is arguably the best Dragon type Mega Pokemon for raids, because what are you using Dragon types for? You're using them for opposing Dragon type Pokemon. So Altaria has that fairy subtype, so it is able to resist the opposing Dragon type attacks, and it boosts Dragon and fairy type damage, so overall, well, objectively, in a vacuum, it looks like Mega Rayquaza is the best. Mega Altaria, arguably, could be the best. That storm's already here. But of course, once again, the value of that Mega uptime does kind of depreciate with when people use their Megas, more Megas being available in general, that kind of thing. But I just want to let you guys know to not count out Mega Altaria. And then as far as an investment standpoint goes, a level 50 XL Altaria is useful in Ultra League PvP. That is, a consideration for PvP. So having a level 50 Altaria, have that be your Mega Altaria, not a bad way to kind of sync up those investments. And then to that end, Mega Altaria in the Open Master League as a Mega, should they ever bring Megas to Master League PvP, isn't that terrible either. So I'm just letting you guys know Mega Altaria has some clout. If you want to know more about it, link up above and in the description. So how are things looking on the PvP side of the Force? Well, when it comes to PvP, Luster Purge and Mistball are better than Psychic. Yeah, they have that 120 base damage, ironically enough, and 60 energy cost, which is a little bit steep, but 120 for 60 is that 2 damage per energy golden ratio that super crazy good attacks have, such as Psycho Boost, Size Strike in PvP. So I'd say overall these moves are pretty fantastic. On top of that, to make up for their steeper energy cost, which, arguably makes them like less value, they do have a 50% chance to debuff. Luster Purge can drop the opponent's defense stat by 1 stage. Mistball can drop their attack stat by 1 stage, which is pretty good. Both of these Pokemon have Dragon Breath. Latios has Dragon Claw, so this is a pretty good recipe that we have going on here. Of course, as you guys may already be aware, we really don't see Latios or Latias like anywhere in any of the PvP metas, and that's just because like they're not that good. And even with Luster Purge and Mistball being a pretty big gain for them, even when considering, the future of their shadow bonuses, like, I think at best, they're still going to be kind of like side grade, kind of meme Pokemon, maybe like a spice pick in some cases, especially with Latios because it does have the Dragon Claw access. Unfortunately, Latias does not have a low energy cost charge move to work with, so sorry Latias, you just... I wouldn't doubt it if there's somebody at like Niantic HQ or something that just hates Latias or something. The evidence keeps stacking up is all I'm saying. At any rate, yeah, so these attacks are great for them in PvP, but I don't think it really like changes their current situation. Also, to add to this, with Luster Purge being a 5 higher energy cost than Psychic, in some situations, technically Psychic could be better because you reach it earlier. I think a lot of people covering this content in regards to PvP have been highlighting that issue. But I feel like for 1 extra Dragon Breath, which is literally all it is, I think Luster Purge and I guess Mistball have such great value to them in terms of their damage and their debuff chance that I think more often than not you'd probably want to side with them. But I guess if you are using like a spicy like Shadow Latias or something like that, I don't think you need to Elite TM to Mistball or anything. I don't think it's I don't think it's that good right now. Maybe if something changes in the future with the meta or their move pools or something, but for right now, like, nah, I wouldn't Elite TM this. Shifting gears here a little bit, considering the future of the Master League, if Megas are allowed into the Master League sometime in the future, could happen. Mega Latios stands to be one of the better Mega Pokemon in the format. I mean, it's got over 5,000 CP, it's got over 9,000 stat product, which is it's crazy high, right? So compared to the current meta right now, it's beating 34 Pokemon, only losing the 6. Of those 6, obviously we got, Sylveon and Togekiss. Metagross is fighting the good fight here, and Mamoswine, fast ice type Pokemon. Surprisingly enough, Lugia is holding its own. I'm actually pretty impressed with this. Like, good job, Lugia. And then, of course, we have, the Master League Master right now, Zacian. That's not changing anytime soon. But what could be changing, in terms of a crown, is Dialga losing to Mega Latios. And it's just because, the Dragon Breath hurts that much. The Dragon Claw is that quick and hurts that much. So yeah, this is pretty insane, right? And this should get you a little bit spooked for the future of the Mega Master meta. But an important thing to consider here too is that this is the current Master League, not the Mega Master League. And the Mega Master League will have other Mega Pokemon too, such as Mega Charizard Y, which can beat Mega Latios. You got Mega Gengar, can beat Mega Latios. You got Mega Gardevoir, which is crazy to think about, can beat Mega Latios. Mega, what's it called? Lucario kind of goes toe-to-toe with it as well. So there would be other Megas involved. I think even when considering the other Megas, though, I think Mega Latios is a very powerful contender just because it's like the next level of Dragon Breath with Dragon Claw. And if you think it's just going to be little baby Dragon Claw, it could be Big Daddy Luster Purge. I don't have Luster Purge in here yet, but Big Daddy Luster Purge does some Big Daddy damage, is all I'm saying. So just something extra to think about. As far as Latias is concerned, Mega Latias probably isn't that bad. It's got even higher stat product. Holy jeez. I mean, less CP, which doesn't matter, because look at that stat product. But it doesn't have that Dragon Claw. Yeah, and then ultimately, without the speed of Dragon Claw, Mega Latias is going to be taking more losses. So if they give Mega Latias, or I mean just Latias, a faster move in general than Psychic, 55 energy cost, I think that could be pretty big for her. But for right now, kind of living in Latios' shadow. But I guess, this stat product does highlight her future potential should she get, Dragon Claw or maybe Psyshock or something. So that about wraps up my impressions on Luster Purge, Mist Ball, and the new Megas here. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content and you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. And if you guessed in my little quiz earlier in the video, is this Mega Latias or Mega Latios? The answer is Latios. The answer is in the eyes. You might be thinking red eyes, wouldn't that be Latias? Latias actually has yellow eyes in her non-Mega form, and Latios has the red eyes. So this is Mega Latios. If you guessed because it looks more blue than red, you're wrong, because they both look the same. It's very confusing.